Good afternoon, people. Judging by the expression on my face, you can see that Spurs have got a nice result. Um, Before I go into the game, first of all, if you haven't watched this before, it's Jacob on the one up top. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all of that, and it obviously helps my channel grow. But without further ado, we go into this afternoon's early kickoff, where we have absolutely battered West Scum 4-1. Now, as everybody knows, I'll always be fair, so I'm always going to talk about, where Tottenham did well and where we did badly, as well as West Ham. So if I go to the opposition first, one player that I'm going to single out for West Ham, Wan-Bissaka, because I don't think he was a player that deserved to lose that game. Not that I care that he lost the game, but he didn't. I think he played well today. He's the only player that looked like he was trying to do bits for West Ham. He's still trying to do stuff even when they were 4-1 down. If I want to go to the bad of West Ham, Mohamed Kudus. He was a thorn in our side for a lot of that game. What an idiot. Realistically, he could have got sent off twice in that. He smacked two people in the... Well, not smacked. I'm with Ali McCoy, so I'm old school, man. If someone does that to me in the face, I'm not crying out for a red card, but at the letter of the law, this is what happens, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? The way I play football, if someone pushes me like that in the face, I'll just smile in your face, because if it's a 50-50, I'm going to break your leg. That's how it goes. So I'll just remember it rather than crying out for a red card. But that's the way that football has turned out to be. If he pushed one player in the face, we all go yellow card, move on, especially because they've been battered. But idiot. But less of West Ham, sorry, more of Tottenham. The bad, we still got them defensive frailties. West Ham didn't do anything for the first 20 minutes, but they were the ones who looked more like they were going to score in terms of the chances that they had. Kudus puts both his chances away. We're 2-0 down when we probably, off the run of play, don't deserve to be. But again, it doesn't matter about deserving. It doesn't matter about possession. Leicester won the league having 40% possession, average in the whole campaign, and won the league. So possession don't mean nothing. And as long as you can keep clean sheets, Chelsea, Leicester, Man United will tell you, Liverpool, Man City, the best defences generally win the league, especially if you're scoring the most goals as well. But we still need to work on that defence. The positives are, first and foremost, Sonny. Good to have him back. I've been saying for a long time that I just think mentally and physically he needed a rest, because he's continually playing in the Asia Cup. He represents his country, he's the captain, and then he comes here, he's just been rinsed. So in a weird way, I thought that injury at Karabag was a blessing in disguise. I think he needed to, rest mentally, physically. I just think he was worn out, and you could see that he needed the rest. He came on, did his 70 minutes, brilliant, and we haven't seen Son play like that for ages. Kulusevski, back this guy to the hill the whole of my time as a Spurs fan. You know what I mean? One thing is, he's always industrious. He don't shy away. It's just when he's not scoring goals or assisting, everybody will criticise him. But I'm right with players like that can go off the pitch and say, might have had a bad game, but you tried hard for the badge. But more importantly, what I want to talk about is the fact that Ange finally understood we need a plan B, and he implemented one. All I heard over the talk was he can't wait for the players to come back, and, so he can have a go at them and all this stuff. And I kept saying to myself, I get that, you got to have a go at the players, but have a go at yourself as well. Take a bit of accountability. There were certain things that you could have done in that game when it was 2-1, 2-2, like I alluded to in my last video, where we could have got a result there and you didn't do it. So if he's had a word with himself, it looks like he has, because, I was looking at that game and I was thinking, if we don't take our chances, we can get hit on the counter-attack. Half-time, he brings on Sarr for Maddison. And everybody thinks it's an injury, but when you see it's a tactical decision, I was like, fair play to you, Ange, because out of the two, say, number 10s that we had on the pitch that were doing well, it was only Kulusevski that was doing well. Maddison was relatively quiet. He was getting on the ball, but weren't really doing much. So if you felt that, he's going to be Brighton Mark II, bring on a Sarr or a Bentancur and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it works, because Kulusevski was told, just stay up there. We don't need you coming back. Brennan Johnson, stay wide. Son, be prepared for the counter. Solanke, do your dirty work. We ended up scoring 3 goals in 7 minutes. This is what I've been asking for from Ange. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, finally he's worked it out. He's worked it out in one game. Now, my measure of a top manager is doing that week in, week out. You know, there's managers out there like Klopp. Klopp used to just be gung-ho for Liverpool all the time. He got them into the top 4, but he understood that for us to get to win the league, we need to have a rest-assured defence, a midfield that's going to be competitive, and the forward line is going to be better than anybody else's. And essentially that's what he did. You know, Klopp would go and beat someone 4-0, but then he'd happily go and win 1-0 and shore up the game. And that's how he won the league at the counter, and that's how he always kept up with Pep. So I'm not sitting there saying Ange is going to do that by any stretch of the means, but if that's what he's aiming to do in terms of winning titles and cups, that's a given. You've got to be able to do that. So if Ange can keep doing that, cool. But I'm not going to gain confidence from him being able to do that week in, week out unless he shows me. There's no point in me sitting there saying, oh, you know what, we're going to climb up the table. When we go into our next fixtures, do that again. It doesn't matter whether we're playing Crystal Palace, Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool. It doesn't matter who you're doing. If it gets to the point where you're in a position where you're comfortably winning, or better yet, you need to go and chase the game, make the right decision and win the game. And if you don't win the game and don't get the result, I ain't got a problem with that. At least it looks like you made the right decision to either win the game or not get battered. That's my theory. So, you know, it's a good win. It was an important win because, you know, how everybody's been talking about how West Ham have been bad this season. If West Ham won that game today, they go above us. And apparently we've been the best footballing side in the league based off stats. And, you know, the stats, that's why I say it's not, I don't see the point of figuring out stats and all that stuff, because the stats suggest we should be top of the league by a canter. But we're in the, you know, we just leaped into 6th. So, you know, it's a work in progress. Good to have Sonny back. Solanke, I love the guy, works his socks off, just needs to add some goals to that. And that's pretty much it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to go and enjoy the weekend with my kids now. We've got our result. Hopefully everybody doesn't get theirs, and we can go into next week and climb up the table. But I just pray to God that Ange understands that the Brighton result can be a turning point. It can be an opportunity for him to have learned as well as the players, and we move forward. You know, it's pretty obvious that I think Ange has learned maybe from the last game, just for the sheer fact that Bentancur didn't start because he's not injured. He didn't play internationals, and he found himself on the bench, and obviously Maddison come along. So if I'm going to be completely honest, it looks like Ange understood that we lost that game to Brighton because when your back's up against the wall and you've got your Maddisons and your Bentancurs and you ain't got the ball, there's no point having them on the pitch. And if that's what his mindset is, then I'm all right with that, because that's how I like my football. Have all the ballers on the pitch when required, but if it gets to the point where we need to shore it up and bring up a Sumo or a Sarr, just get it done. You know, you look at your Artetas, you look at your, like I said, Klopp, you know, even Unai Emery. You know, if it gets to the point where I guarantee Fulham are battering them and they take a 1-0 lead, they won't lose that lead. They'll end up drawing at the very minimum. So that's how I see football. That's how I see Tottenham. Thumbs up to Ange, Son, Kulusevski. But next week is another week, so we'll see how it goes. As I said at the beginning of the video, guys, like, share, subscribe, do all of that. Thank you for the people that are subscribed. If you ain't watched before, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment, and I will reply. Love to you all and have a blessed weekend. Come on, you Spurs.